Todd is here. Carolyn Ryan, bureau chief for the New York Times here in Washington. Michael Powell, former head of the FCC under President Bush. Mike Murphy, Republican strategist, and Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez. Welcome once again. Michael Powell, wow. A lot there with Roundtable, making it very clear that Bill Clinton is an issue in Hillary Clinton's campaign should it happen.
It's fascinating to me because this is the week of talking about spouses, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what the specific issue is, but I do think prominent spouses can play a role politically if you look at the problems that Governor McDonnell has as a consequence of actions of his wife. But the reality is these issues shouldn't matter. The country needs answers to really critical problems, including the economy. And, you know, the Clintons certainly are an intergalactic force of nature and have a huge constellation of powerful people surrounding them. But I don't think we should treat that machinery as invincible. I mean, we saw that in 2008 when people were sure that was an unassailable machinery, and it broke and it failed. And I think it's important for her not to have an air of inevitability or entitlement around her potential candidacy.
Did you just say, hey, the New York Times? I was just going to say, here's the cover story of the New York Times. And Michael Powell just set it up. It's Planet Hillary. We'll put it up on the screen there.
I think he set it up better than you guys intended to set it up.
How do you react when you hear what Senator Paul said?
Well, first of all, both Bill and Hillary have been in the public eye for such a long time. I really do believe that that is in the past. Meanwhile, Hillary has proven herself over and over
But do you have an even stronger, more personal reaction to that Hillary Clinton would have to answer for this?
No, Hillary, look what Hillary did. She was a great senator. I mean, she really was liked by both sides. She worked hard. She didn't and she did what a new senator was supposed to do, and she passed a lot of stuff for New York. Secondly, as a Secretary of State, I mean, she brought diplomacy back into the arena. I worked on something called the New START Treaty. I mean, Hillary was really the one that got that going and got it done at a time when the Russians weren't even allowing us to land our planes in Russia.
Here's an issue
around sanctions. I mean, that was incredibly important to get to the point where we are today. But she has done a great job, and she is different than her husband. And I think, by the way, her husband is a very positive in many ways.
All right, let me get, but one of the issues that's raised in this piece in the New York Times Magazine is this. This may represent, the Times writes, Hillary Clinton's biggest challenge for a hypothetical 2016 campaign. How can Clinton, who is 66, make American voters think about something other than her fraught personal and political past? How can she present herself as someone hungry to serve rather than as someone entitled to office?
This is a central question for her. She has this sort of dysfunctional, dynastic family. But the question is, to what degree is she really in touch with what's going on in her party now? When you think about where the excitement and energy is at the Democratic base, it's around people like Elizabeth Warren and economic populism, and Elizabeth Warren kind of created this prairie fire of excitement. You saw that with de Blasio. And the Clintons have never really stood for economic populism. There are a lot of people out there, Democrats, ordinary Democrats, angry at Wall Street, angry that people were not criminally prosecuted, angry with economic stagnation, and these have not been central Clinton issues. So there's a big gulf between where she is and where the party is.
I totally agree. I think she is perceived to be invincible, which is a terrifying place to be in early presidential politics, but she has three great challenges. The first challenge is that she has an impressive story, but it's kind of a backward story. And the best thing in politics is new. I think Elizabeth Warren could give her a hell of a race in the primaries. The second problem she has is that story. This is like the third story we've read about potential campaign dysfunction. It's like the court of the Ottoman Turk in there. Her problem is she's got 1,000 generals and no sergeants. And now we can have 100 pages about it. That's a problem, and that's been a problem for her before. Maybe they can fix it, maybe they can't. Third problem is Bill. I agree that she ought to be judged on her own merits, but out in real voter land, it's part of the calculation in people's mind. He brings a lot to the campaign. He also brings a lot of legacy to the campaign. You can't just say, I wish Mitt Romney had tried to say, well, Bain Capital is in the past, so we're not going to talk about it. It doesn't work that way.
It's a sign Republicans are going to bring everything back.
But there's also, there's a larger, but here's the thing, this is, I think, a larger challenge. Forget what's going on inside our party. The larger challenge is, think about 2016. We're now going to have 24 straight years of political polarization. Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, all at some point in their initial presidential campaigns promised that they were the ones that were going to change Washington. They were the ones that were going to get us out of this gridlocked mess. We're now a generation. So is Hillary Clinton, the voters are going to be hungry for this. Are they going to say somebody with the last name of Clinton is the person to break the polarization. I don't know. I mean, look, I've always viewed her candidacy this way. Hillary could be unbeatable. Clinton is a terrible idea for 16, and she has to epitomize both, and she has to be more Hillary than Clinton. If she's Clinton, she's going to have a harder time winning. If she's Hillary, she'll be president of the United States.
Hillary showed in the Senate that she could work with both sides and she could get things done. Hillary showed in the State Department, having gone there when she was so in a race against Obama, to go over there and to really suck it up and to get things done. I mean, the American people have seen that. She is very competent, and she's probably the best thing that we have going with respect to someone who can work across the aisle.
Her competency to me is unassailable. The issue for me is how effective she'll connect with the modern voter. Right. After 4 years of being in the foreign policy apparatus, she really has been away from kind of the defining domestic issues, many of which have leaped tectonically over the last couple of years. Non-white influence in political activity, legalization of marijuana, gay marriage. I mean, there are a whole set of emerging issues that I really haven't seen them associated with, and their need to find connections with a voter that's about the future, I think, is the real challenge.
Well, how do you generally sum up, and Mike, what's going on the Republican side? I mean, we talked about Mike Huckabee and Rand Paul talking about a war on women and trying to bring Bill Clinton into that equation. But how do all of the pieces in the Republican Party start to fit together here that tells you about who has an edge as you think about 2016?
Yeah, I think it's challenging when you listen to some of the crazy stuff you hear coming out of some of these conferences. But I think this is why I find Christie a compelling figure, because I think, it's interesting in the piece last week on Obama, when there's always this constant comparison to Lyndon Johnson, and the need to be down and dirty, rough and capable, a technical expert in the legislative process to make change happen. I think the very things that get Governor Christie in trouble, I think, are the things that are extraordinarily appealing to the public from the perspective of maybe someone who's not just talking about change, but has the kind of the roughness and the Lyndon Johnson-like qualities to make it happen, could be very attractive.
Christie's great strength is at a time when everybody hates politics, he has a persona of hating politics too. Yeah. Outside Washington, tell it the way it is. On the other hand, is that perceived by some people as too much? And the scandal is the narrative of too much. But I don't think he knew, but we're going to have the mother of all investigations, and if they're going to clear him, and he's going to be back in a strong position, not a lock by any means. He was overrated before, he's underrated now, but he'll be a player.
Mike, you did a lot of work in New Jersey, though.
Yes.
Are you shocked that things like this take place in New Jersey politics?
New Jersey.
But my point is that this was a culture of New Jersey that you get the sense that he participated in.
Yeah, which undercuts politician fighter.
Right.
But let's back up to your question about polarization, because why were the Democrats so daunted or worried about Chris Christie? Why did they want to see him damaged? It's because he was able to transcend party. You look at the New Jersey results, he attracted people from traditionally Democratic-leaning groups and registered Democrats. Now when you look post-scandal, where is the softening of his support? It's among those groups. Democrats, independents.